Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video here. So I wanted to focus on, I guess a few things here. I really wanted to focus on Isle of Dead, but I also wanted to talk about some scenes that we got between Negan and Maggie, and yeah, some of the more emotional stuff that we got in episode 14. So obviously, before we go any further, make sure to be aware that this will contain spoilers for episode 14. As always, if you are new to the channel and you want more Walking Dead content like this, then make sure to hit subscribe. I also wanted just to give a shout out to the Discord, because the Discord has been growing a lot. It's actually been, it's been, as of late, we're doing some more upgrades and stuff. And I mean, honestly, I do kind of view the Discord server as being in a very, still in an early stage, there's a lot of things that we're figuring out in terms of, how to make it very entertaining for everybody, for people to have, to do things, to make it more, interactive and stuff like that. And it's the first time I'm doing a lot of things on here. But the one thing that I notice is that it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of people here that really do love The Walking Dead, and it's almost like it's its own community. There's a lot of people in there that are sort of like the regulars. And I think it's a good 10 to 30 people around there, 10, 20, 30 people are, that are always in there. And yeah, it's just funny. Honestly, sometimes when I'm just bored, I'll look through the chat and stuff, and I see people just talking about whatever, and I just laugh. It's just a lot of fun. And yeah, there's a lot of Walking Dead channels there. You can choose your own community. We're actually doing things on there where you can play games in there, and because you got to choose your own community. So say you choose the Commonwealth, we've actually recently added a baking game to that. So if you're a part of the Commonwealth, then you can bake, I'm guessing, cookies, cake, and all that. I haven't actually played the game yet. A lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of someone here actually just made some brownies. And then yeah, and you can also go fishing at Oceanside Sanctuary. I believe there's a Taco Shack game. I just added a Pokemon game actually, where you catch Pokemon and stuff like that to Alexandria. We still have to add some to the Hilltop. The Kingdom has access to the theater, so I don't know if we'll add anything to that, maybe still, but then there's Prison in Woodbury. Anyways, my point is it's a lot of fun. I just wanted to give sort of an extended shout out here to it. And if you're interested in joining a big Walking Dead community, then yeah, definitely go follow my server. The link is down below. Their server name is Appetite for the Dead. If you don't find the link down below, I'm sure you can go search it on Discord or whatever, because it is a public server. So anyways, let's talk about Isle of the Dead. So Isle of the Dead, I will say, is looking really good. It's looking like we're going to get some really great character chemistry, and it looks like that's going to be one of the shows that a lot of fans are just going to be on board with in general, because I've been seeing some criticisms, and I don't necessarily get the criticism, but I guess I get it in some sense, but I also don't get it. I've been seeing some people posting articles online saying that this isn't The Walking Dead. The arc we're at with the Commonwealth isn't The Walking Dead. And again, people are they have a right to their own opinions. I'm not really I'm not upset about that. It's just, to me, the idea that this doesn't feel like The Walking Dead is a little ridiculous. This is the next step of The Walking Dead's life cycle. And that was also a part of the criticism, I would say, in the comic as well. But you got to understand, this is where we're going. In season 1, it was the downfall of civilization, and seeing the way our characters were, they were just pretty much normal, and just seeing how they, how they reacted to the apocalypse. That was the start of The Walking Dead. And now we're here at the end of the show, and, they're so used to the apocalypse, that's just their lifestyle. And now they're going back to normal. So seeing their reaction to that, this is the natural step for them, right? This is the natural stage of the apocalyptic evolution, if that makes sense, right? It makes sense to be here right now. And so to say that this doesn't feel like The Walking Dead, yeah, it doesn't feel like there's zombies and it's a zombie apocalypse, but in the story for our characters, this is this, and every apocalypse movie, zombie apocalypse movie anyways, there's always some sort of ending where they find a cure or they go back to normal or whatever. This is kind of that, and obviously they have plans to do other things. So that's why there's going to be bigger threats. There's going to be running zombies. There's other things that are going to happen that will definitely break a lot of this down. But in terms of the show and what the show's doing, I think it works. And so I just really disagree with that. I think this is exactly where The Walking Dead should be going right now. If we were still in the same place of struggling to survive and being out there, people would be so sick of it. It would be so boring, because we were getting those complaints before. Anyways, that's why I think Isle of the Dead is going to be a little bit more accepted, because it is actually going to be returning to more of that. They're going to be going to New York. There will be this whole CRM aspect to it. There's going to be stuff like that, but I don't think they're going to be necessarily getting into that right away. I think they're there to look for Rick. We might see some elements of them, and maybe eventually by the finale of season 1, they end up at the CRM base or something like that. So we see more of the inner workings of that. But I think for the most part, the whole season is going to be them surviving in New York. It's going to be a New York or a Manhattan-ridden, zombie-filled apocalypse or whatever. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really great, and this show is looking to be really great right now. And a lot of that, again, goes back to episode 14, which just aired, I guess, 2 days ago. And that is Negan and Hershel's, very, very emotional scene that they had together. I do want to put the question out there, and I'll just mention this really quick. Do you guys think that one day Hershel's going to be the one to kill Negan? Because after that scene where Negan was like, you know what, when you're a little bit older, come meet me and we'll settle this sort of thing. Honestly, it kind of feels like one day, 20 years in the future, 15, 20 years, I guess just whenever Hershel's like, maybe early 20s or whatever, he's going to go up to Negan one day and then he'll kill him. He'll shoot him. He'll use a baseball bat, something like that. Because it does feel like for Negan that he's not going to have necessarily the happy ending that everyone else is going to have. It feels like, he's going to do some good things. But I do think that the moment he killed Glenn and Abraham I think that's going to haunt him forever. I really don't see that going away. I don't see that moment just sort of, that's it. It's over. It was such a big and really massive moment in the entire series, and we're still seeing the ramifications of it to this day. That shows you how big of a moment Negan's introduction to the story was, and why I think he should be a main character here. But it does kind of feel like that's where his character is going. I do think one day he's most likely going to die. Anyways, I'm sure it's a video we can do another day and talk more in depth about that. What I do also want to get into here in terms of for Isle of Dead is, just what are the characters? What is everything going to be like between Maggie and Negan? I do think, Hershel being with them is possible, but it also kind of feels like maybe not. Again, I think it could work. Like, I think having Hershel along with you can work. Rick and Lori had Carl around for a while, and, eventually you had Carl and Judith around for a while. And so, like, it's normal to have just kids in the zombie apocalypse, right? To have that other element there. And so you could bring Hershel with you. The issue, though, is just sort of where the story is going to be. I don't know if it really makes much sense. Like, first of all, why are they going to New York, right? Is there another reason why they would go to New York other than to find Rick? Like, is it just like, oh, we're going to go there to go and find this, or we're going to go do this one thing? Like, I don't really get the point of going over there other than they have to go and do something that is very important, because like they have the Commonwealth, right? That is likely where, that is where the story is going to go. Like they're going to successfully be able to live at the Commonwealth. All the toxic people and everything will leave. They'll handle that. They're going to deal with that. But in terms of, why they leave, like why leave? And also why Maggie and Negan leave. It's a connection. It's something that brings them both together. And obviously Rick is that, right? So obviously they're there to go look for Rick. They're searching for clues. There's something there. And so is there even a reason to bring Hershel with them if they already have the Commonwealth? It just makes no sense, right? So that's kind of why I feel like Hershel likely won't play a role in that, but he could show up in season 2 or season 3, like at some point in the future. He could definitely show up. But I think for at least for season 1, it's just going to be Negan and Maggie. And at least that's my early prediction right now. We'll see where the story goes, obviously, after part 3. I think we're going to know for sure by then where they're going here. Which also leads me to something else that I did want to get into here. And that is, the whole dilemma regarding Negan being a good guy. I think Maggie and Negan, I think they're likely going to be friends at some point in the future. I think Maggie's having a really hard time dealing with all of it, though. I think she's having a really hard time handling the fact that, oh man, like, he's actually pretty normal. A lot of people have done horrible things. Everyone else seems to be fine. And yes, I was personally affected by this, but overall he has changed. Like, he is actually a different person. And that's honestly really hard for him to grasp. And honestly, I think for a lot of fans, that's actually hard for them to grasp. Like, I see a lot of people on Twitter complaining about Negan. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Everyone's done horrible things. Everyone's done bad things in general. You can find anything about anyone and choose to not like them. If you just don't want to like that person, you want to like stick to that. Like, to me, I look at him and I'm like, no, he's an honest person. He's a very, very normal person, and he's done some horrible things, and I say normal in terms of the apocalypse, because obviously, him killing Glenn and Abraham in real life, that would be very unacceptable. But in terms of the apocalypse, man, the person he became during the Savior arc wasn't him. It really wasn't. He was just trying to survive. He was doing whatever the hell he could to survive. You know, Lucille's death messed him up really bad. And so personally, I sympathize with that. And it seems like 80% of the fan base does. And I think Maggie eventually will as well. And I'm really excited for that. I really can't wait to go there. And honestly, that's kind of where I see the next part of the arc going. I see Maggie being able to forgive Negan and Hershel never being able to. Like, I really think that one day, you know, Negan's going to die from Hershel and Maggie's going to be like, what the hell did you do? Like, you know, and it's going to be more of a story at that point of, you know, you got to watch what you sort of, I guess, how you raise your kids. You can't teach hate. You can't, you know what I mean? And so because Maggie told Hershel all of this stuff, Hershel just became that and did that, right? Whereas maybe the problem in general was just sort of more of a Maggie problem with Negan, right? And Hershel didn't have to be involved in that. Even though I do get it, it is his dad. So he's going to feel these things eventually at one point. And honestly, like, that's why I get so emotional about the whole, you know, Hershel and Negan scene. That's Hershel's dad. And I can't believe, like, this is Glenn's son. Isn't it insane? Like, this is Glenn's son. And this is his son standing up for him. Like, it's just so incredible. It's such an incredible thing. I'm so glad that Angela King did the big time jumps that she did so we can get scenes like this. And Negan was waiting for this scene. And again, it's just the whole thing is so complex. I think that Maggie and Negan one day are going to be friends. And but I also don't think Hershel's going to be friends with Negan ever. We'll see. I just don't know if it's possible because, you know, he's going to have to go through what Maggie's going through right now. You know, when you're young, you're just kind of dumb. You don't understand everything. You know, you're just so whatever. You're very narrow minded. You don't see the full picture. And then when you get older, you go through things, you process things, and you start to experience more things and you understand people more. And you start to realize that everybody's the same. Like, we're all human, but just some people come from different backgrounds and they experience different things, you know, so you got to be a lot more forgiving. And I think more, I guess, like, loving to other people. Right. And I think that that's the thing right now with Hershel. He's not going to do that. But, you know, maybe one day he'll get to the point where Maggie's at right now, where she's going through a lot. And so this is all really to say that Isle of the Dead is going to be such a fascinating show. It's going to be a really great show. First of all, there's the environments and all of that, but it's the great character chemistry that it's going to have. And I'm excited for this show. And I think there's a reason that, you know, when they announced Isle of the Dead, that everyone freaked out about it. Like, everybody had a big reaction to the show because it was like, what? Negan and Maggie are going to be together in a show. And like, I mean, man, like, when Daryl and Carol announced their spinoff, or not them, but like when it was announced that they were going to do their spinoff, it, you know, it was big and some people wrote articles about it, but it wasn't like Isle of the Dead. When Isle of the Dead was announced, it was trending. It was everywhere. People that I know personally around me were like mentioning it to me. And I was like, oh yeah. Like, I'm not used to that. Like, years ago, it was like that, you know, like when they first announced Fear the Walking Dead, people would talk about that. But that's when The Walking Dead was back, you know, and that was when it was in its heyday. And things are just different now. So that just shows you the power of Isle of the Dead. And I think that show is going to be a monster. Like, I think in terms of ratings, it's going to be pretty high. And yeah, I'm expecting a lot of really big things from that show. So anyways, I'm going to leave it here. There's a lot of things I talked about in here, so just give your thoughts on all of it. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.